One thing that is so important and a part of our educational philosophy is the idea that in order to be a clear lens and to really shine a light for students, we have to be able to know ourselves. It's that concept of knowing thyself and getting really clear in who and what we are as we move around the world and interact with other human beings in relationship. And the clearer that we can be, the more self-aware that we can be, the better we are at being light bearers and just shining those beautiful lanterns or lighthouse lights for people moving on this path. Where Kundalini, Enneagram, and Ayurveda all come together is the awareness that there are habits, patterns, and behaviors that we all have in our lives that can't just be resolved in our minds. We can't think ourselves into well-being in all of those layers with every single habit, pattern, and behavior. We have to physically get them out of our bodies and also understand the origin of where those habits, patterns, and behaviors came from. I know that different times of the month as well is another factor that comes into play as we start to know ourselves. So where are you on your particular cycle of hormones and the moon and things like that? And once you know all of these different things and you engage with them in a very practical, applied level, not a theoretical level, not talking about the if or maybe or could, and really getting into what presents itself in your life, that's when you start to get to have a lot of autonomy and empowerment over your well-being, for sure. The experience of anyone moving through their cycle, and this is something that you will all learn throughout this program as well, is different depending on what your constitution is, what your dosha is, and of course what your Enneagram is. So it's like this path of self-discovery, and a lot of spiritual warriorship is about that, because it's hard to step into that place where you can have the really being in that place of being a saint and also being a warrior. So it's really having the mind of the saint and the heart of the warrior is spiritual warriorship, being on the warrior pathway in a different context than we typically put warriorship in our culture. And being a spiritual warrior, when you know yourself in all of these different layers, you are able to step in to this place where your heart is truly the master, and you are training your mind with your heart. Absolutely training your mind to listen to that intuition, to listen to that heart. And when we're out of balance, we question our intuition, we question what that wisdom is that's rising up. Ooh, is this really, the next step for me in this moment? Or am I reactive because I'm tired or I'm hungry, or I went to a friend's birthday party last night and I know that everything I ate and drank in those 3 hours wasn't really super awesome for my particular constitution. And yoga means union. And when we use the tools of Kundalini and Enneagram and Ayurveda, and understanding our hormonal balances and cycles as we move through our lives, having all of these tools is like, the key to unlocking your floodgates of just creativity and inspiration and living in a place of joy and lightness. So that's why we have combined them all in this beautiful practice and of course in this beautiful training. So you will spend a lot of time focused on yourself. I'm telling you that the fastest, most effective method I have experienced in my life to relax habits and to bring me back to my true nature, my soul's intention, is Kundalini Yoga. It's Kundalini Yoga. And the rewiring of the brain that goes on in these practices. And the point being that you don't have to know right away why Kundalini Yoga is so potent and so effective when you want to make changes in your habits and patterns that are maybe depleting you. You get to just experience and to be in that experience. All right. And that said, I never want you to take something that is taught in this training without having experienced it and believe it to be true for you. All right. It's very important to me that students have lived experiences in what they're about to offer out in the world as teachings, as they move from the role of student into the role of teacher, and to not take anything that I say as, ultimate truth, gospel, reality for you. Please experience things as they unfold. Kundalini Yoga is also often referred to as the yoga of awareness, which I love because we spend a lot of time here at Yoga Farm in awareness practices. And the time that you spend in this program with Daniela will be really focused on being in awareness of your thoughts, your behaviors, your feelings, your sensations, and how that awareness equals choice. And Kundalini Yoga has this incredible technology of energy and using energy to manage energy and to understand that energy is not created or destroyed, right? We can shift it though. We can manipulate it. We can become alchemists. And unlike many forms of yoga, Kundalini places a large emphasis on breath and the overall health of the nervous system. Okay? And I like to refer to it as yoga for people who can't do yoga or think that they can't do yoga, because it's always starting with the breath. We're always starting with the breath. And if you have to pause the physical asana, the pose itself, or put your arms down or just lay down and you can stay with the breath, you're doing Kundalini. So therefore, if you can breathe, you can do Kundalini Yoga. And for me, that really spoke to longevity in practice. I did a lot of hot power yoga. I've done a lot of Baptiste yoga, Bikram yoga, Ashtanga yoga. And sometimes it would feel really great in my body and other times it wouldn't. And certainly during my moon cycle, Ashtanga yoga did not feel good in my body. And Kundalini yoga being so much more about the breath, I almost could sit there and imagine, like, I'll be able to do Kundalini yoga when I'm 95 years old.
Yes, exactly.
I might just be sitting in a chair.
Right. I'm going to be old one day and still be able to do Kundalini yoga.
Right.
But what I love the most is that each asana, if you do it for 1 minute or even 3 minutes or even more than that, just even 1 minute, if you take a moment to take a minute out of your day to do it, it's so powerful and transformative. It can just, it switches you in a minute.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll remind you of that through this entire training, that sure, do this particular practice for 3 to 5 minutes, and if you get to 90 seconds and stop, you got to 90 seconds, and that's incredible. 30 seconds of stretch pose is a game changer. So if you're like 3 minutes of stretch pose, dear Lord, what am I doing? You're gonna start with that 30 seconds, and it's a success. It's absolutely a success, and it's certainly my conviction that we all have the capability to heal ourselves. That this is an innate ability that we were all born with, and that many of the ways that we can heal ourselves we've just simply forgotten, or the intuition rises up and we're not listening or believing in ourselves enough to tune into that. You combine Enneagram with Kundalini with understanding your dosha, and it's like you're never lost in the forest. You will always be able to find a way out. You will always be able to intuitively understand where the next step is on the map, where your true north is. Because you have all the supplies to make this journey and to be incredibly healthy and happy and fulfilled and joyful with that understanding that your heart is the master and your mind gets to be of use and of service to that heart. That's where all of these things come together, and that's what being a spiritual warrior is about.